A quick insights about your childhood and your early days in life.
Control and pressure on us from the parent side is very minimum. And my father joined in at his teenage only to RSS and used to go to the RSS Saka. Gold Control Act came. Morarji Desai, he brought gold control, under which you cannot sell 22 carat jewelry. And then 1980, I joined my business.
What are the changes that you have bought after you came to Swarna Jewelers?
Earlier, we used to judge the purity of the gold by touchstone. I used the scientific method of density measurement.
How did you come up with opening the Swarnodaya institution?
Jewelry making, there are different steps of jewelry making steps. Even though there are millions of designs, jewelry making steps are limited.
And there's a beautiful miracle in your house, your wife.
While doing that GSB Seva Mandal work, while fixing the gold sheet, their members used to come and stay in our house or in the factory. So then I took the prasada from the Ganapati. And while coming back, I received my wife's call that from today morning I am hearing very clearly.
If you had to give some tips to a new entrepreneur who's into this career of the jewelry designing field, what would that be?
See, there is, as I said, there is no money in this.
Yes.
Huge money.
Yes.
Can't run the business using the borrowed funds.
Hello and welcome to the Poster Show. Today with us, we have our special guest, Mr. Gujjadi Ramdas, who is the proprietor of Swarna Jewelers. Swarna means gold in the coastal area. And our special guest is going to tell you a lot of insights about the bling world and how gold and divine works together. So, let's dig in to the bling world insights. Welcoming Mr. Gujjadi Ramdas.
Thank you.
Sir, I would like to know a quick insights about your childhood and your early days in life. How did it all begin?
I had normal childhood life all along because, see, my parents had 9 children and my father is a lone child to his parents. So naturally, control and pressure on us from the parent side is very minimum. And my father joined in at his teenage only to RSS and used to go to the RSS Saka regularly. And he made us to go to the RSS Saka right from my age of 5 years. So he's a very disciplined, principled and honest person. So he used to watch us and once in a while and used to get report whatever we do from my mother's side, mother. So only thing is that he used to hate lying or using bad words. So all that control. And about the academic performance, we all brothers and sisters were pretty good and nothing to worry about that. But still, if we do little less in the performance, they used to have a strong word or something of that kind. So it went off pretty well and we had full freedom, no pressure. It's a carefree life. So till pre-university, it was just walk through, enjoyed every bit of it. See, the life was wonderful. And my home is very near to around 500 meters from Krishna temple. So every day I used to go to hear Harikatha stories. So it was wonderful to listen. And then I used to move around the town alone. It was fun. Yes.
So you enjoyed life as a free bird.
Yes.
Right. So could you tell us about the 60-year-old establishment Swarna Jewelers?
Yeah. See, my father is the only child to his parents, I told you. And he lost his father at a very early age. So he has seen the poverty very much in his childhood time. And even he could not manage to collect few rupees which is required to join for high school at that time. So he had to leave the schooling. So then he joined to a sweet maker person, and then at his age of 16 or 17 he joined a jewelry shop as an assistant there. So he was very good in communicating and very good in mathematics. So the jeweler liked him and gave him all the responsibility. So till it went up to 1963 when Gold Control Act came. Morarji Desai Gold Control Act. He brought Gold Control Act under which you cannot sell 22 carat jewelry. So at the same time, plastic industry came to India. So that jewelers' children went to Bangalore with establishing the plastic industries. And my father had no other option. So at that time, to start a jewelry business, you need a license, or even the goldsmith needed a license to start do the work. So my father took the net 1 rupee license, what we call, and then he started his business. He had absolutely zero capital, but he had the immense faith of the customers and the suppliers. So suppliers gave full support, and customers are there, so nothing to worry about. So he had a good business and picked up from there. So he started in 1963, 64. So then he was very active in RSS and Vishwa Hindu Parishad. So during emergency, he was arrested for 17 months and was in jail for that. So at that time, my eldest brother had finished his chartered accountant, and he supported the business till he came back. Then in 1978, my next brother, Raghuveer, so he was just 17 years old. He joined the business after finishing his PUC. He had good academic records. Still he joined. And then 1980, I joined my business after finishing my engineering from NITK. So later, one by one, all the brothers, after finishing their engineering, 2 engineering engineers, 3 engineers are there, so like that. So from there, we never looked back. Initially, it was first generation, my father, then we, second generation. Currently, our children, third generation, are taking over.
So how many branches does Swarna Jewelers have?
Okay, currently we have 10 sales outlet showrooms across many cities of Karnataka state. We have 3 shops in Bangalore and 2 shops in Hubli, 1 in Dharwad, 1 in Sirsi, and then of course our first branch in Udupi, then Mangalore, Kundapur. So, and we have a manufacturing unit which is called Swarnodema. So we are making all the jewelries in the factory. Almost 90% of our jewelry which we sell are made in our factory. Instead of getting the jewelry from outside, we recruited the artisans from different parts of the country and got all the jewelry done in our place.
Yes. So that's a wonderful experience you all have spread across Karnataka, and that's a great achievement that you all have carried on the business. So what are the changes that you have bought after you came to Swarna Jewelers?
See, NITK graduate means going to states is a compulsory at that time. Yes. I had also applied. I never thought that I will join my father's business. I got admission in 2 of the university, not very popular, but I was supposed to go there by January after completing my course. But somehow I decided to cancel that and join my father for many reasons. So I think I made a pretty good decision in that because many of my friends who have gone there, more than 50% of my college classmates are there in US now. They have made lots of money, no doubt about it. But they have lost an opportunity to stay with their parents. And even now they are facing some other problem, like their children don't want them to stay with them because they are brought up in US condition, and they are not getting married. They are not believing in married life. Like we do in India. But I didn't miss all those things. I stayed all through with my parents, all through my children's and my grandchildren. So that was, I think, I made a good decision in that way.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So then when I joined, I found that our industry has not updated with any technological improvement that is happening in western side. So what I started is upgrading an application of technology in the field. So I used to get huge benefit out of that. So see, when I joined business, so everything was by manually. So and I started using putting the order execution, everything on as per the chart on all those things. So that is the advantage, and started applying technological applications. There are so many things like earlier we used to judge the purity of the gold by touchstone. So you needed a lot of experience to estimate the purity. So, but now I used the scientific method of density measurement by Archimedes. So today all my branches have this method to estimate the purity. It is very reliable. You just can't get cheated. Even it can beat your
automatic and
Yes, yeah.
advanced instruments that is
technology.
there.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So actually, this density material that you are using, it helps in spreading the gold purity overall. So you get the overall gold purity, not like the olden manual method where some parts the purity is less and some parts the purity is more.
Yes.
That's an added advantage
Yes,
to
yes,
this. Yes. So that's a very nice thing. So, what did your degree help you in your business? Like, how did it actually help your business grow?
See, in 1982-83, I heard that computers have come and then it can do wonders. But nobody, even in Udupi, MIT, engineering institution is there, they were not having the computers. So I had an opportunity to go to outside world. So I bought a first laptop, not laptop, Apple IIe compatible it is called. So and brought it to Udupi. I thought it will do automatically. But after getting it here and starting the computer, then I realized you need a software for that.
Right.
So then there is nobody to teach you the software, making the software. So I went to Bangalore, bought the book, studied it, and learned the skill of coding, and then wrote my first software to do my job. That is billing, stock maintenance, work scheduling, all that. So in 1984, end all time. So we are the first developer to start using the computer in our trade. And at that time, the computer was not very popular like today, IT. In IT, the word IT became famous after Infosys did the IPO in 1990s. So that is the time. But we had already started using the computer for our things. So that is why how it helped me. And people used to ask my father, your son has wasted a merit seat by joining to NIT and not joining to any industry. Then my father used to answer them that whoever who does the engineering is not ready, fit to do any job in a particular industry. But he will have that aptitude, pick up the skill to do the job in the industries. So the degree will help you to become expert or to become the skill, to pick up the skill and adjust. So that is what he has done. So whatever he has learned in 3 months, the other people will take almost a year.
Correct.
So that is the difference and application of the technology.
Yes. So what do you think about Swarnoday? How did you come up with opening the Swarnoday institution where you have all the in-house gold made?
See, in jewelry making, there are different steps of jewelry making steps. Even though there are millions of design, jewelry making steps are limited. Just like cooking, you have millions of recipes, but there are very limited steps of cooking steps.
Yeah.
Every recipe will not go through all the steps. Similarly, every jewelry will not go through all the jewelry steps. So some jewelry steps are easy to make, some jewelry steps are difficult.
Right.
So in our industry for hundreds of years, a artisan is expert in doing certain steps of the jewelry making. He's not expert in all making all the steps of the jewelry. So he outsources many steps of the jewelry make to other person who is expert in that. So I thought if I bring all the types of artisans who can do different steps of under one roof and appoint a manager there, then the productivity will increase. Because see, if I give a job, even today jeweler will give the responsibility of making a jewelry to an artisan. He spends about 7-8 days to make the jewelry, but his work time is just 2 days. All other days he used to move around to another artisan to do the other steps of the jewelry.
Right.
So here what I thought is that if he does his job and give it back to me, and it is my responsibility to send it to another artisan. See, immediately he can take another job. So his productivity will be multiplied.
Correct.
So that is, so with that concept, it is called cluster model of jewelry making. So we started it I started it in the year 1983.
Okay.
So at that time I had just 25 artisans, but by this method, they could produce almost 50 artisans' work. So like that. So that is what it made me to start this Swarnajima. And I provided them the residence, the workshop, everything I provided them, the full day food and all those things. So that helped them to produce more, and we have more control on the quality of the jewelry making.
Right. So this cluster model which you used in Swarnodaya, it helped you in two things. One is wasting the time for all the artisans who were good at it. And second, you could just shorten the process and make it easier for artisans to get more work and to get better work also.
Yes. More than that, once the jewelry is finished, it is difficult to check the quality. Here we are getting the jewelry under preparation. So
Right.
I can check the quality without any hesitation.
Yes.
And so that is, quality control is much more easier than doing the quality control at the end of the jewelry making stage.
Correct. Yes. So you were the first dwellers to inculcate the computerized system in your whole Swarnodaya, right? So how did that idea come up? Like how did you switch from a manual process to a computerized back then in 1980s, right?
Yes. So I told you, it's an industry. It's not a church. Why I joined this business is because it's not just a trade. It is a trade with the manufacturing. So we'll have to produce the jewelry and sell. It is not get the jewelry and sell. So it is an industry. So there is a risk, a challenge of manufacturing, there is a challenge of stock control, there is a challenge of selling also. So I like that. So that made me to join fundamentally. And then I used to schedule the orders according to the delivery date. See, some of the jewelries, say if I get an order of 5 jewelries, some jewelry will take 10 days, some jewelry will take 2 days, some jewelry take 15 days. So it will get scheduled as per the number of days it required.
Right.
And it gets manufactured at the right time, a day before the delivery or 2 days before the delivery. So I thought if I use a computer, that will help me. Otherwise, I have to write everything myself and do the things.
Yeah.
So then as I said, I bought a Apple II computer. And then I wrote my own software. So everything, it was happening. So
Right.
it was wonderful.
So your engineering degree did help you in writing your software.
Yes,
and
and
all
more
of
than that, see, there are two types of cost in jewelry making. One is the artisan's art value, labor. The second is invariable loss of metal during the process.
that. Right.
So it's called wastage or teman, whatever it is. So there will be a loss, weight loss, but it will go. It will be around the working area.
Yeah,
It is
true.
Yeah, you will not get it back immediately. Once in a month or once in 6 months, if you collect all the dust and try get some some gold back. So now there are certain jewelry steps which will incur more weight loss. Some are easy. So we applied our mind into those stages and helped artisan to minimize their weight loss.
Right.
If there is a minimum weight loss, their earning will go up. If their earning is go up, so they will be more stable with us.
Correct. Yes.
Win-win position for both.
Yeah. So you use the incentive techniques to, one strategy to retain the employees and keeping them happy as well as you happy. So that was a win-win for you all. Yes. So we're proud that you have an in-house institution where you train females. So you all are into a lot of women employment. How did that idea come up?
Okay. Even today, almost more than 70, now I can claim 80% of the jewelry we sold in the coastal belt of our state are coming from outside the coastal belt.
Okay.
They are not manufactured here because there are very limited artisans at that. Even now, newer generation boys are not getting into this line.
Right.
And there are two communities which are making jewelry, Vishwakarma and Daivadna. In the both community, the new generation members are not getting into the jewelry making process.
Right.
So slowly that skill of jewelry making is dying out. But alternative technology is helping to make very fine quality jewelry and outsiders can also come and do the jewelry using all these technological gadgets. Okay. So that is the advantage. So when I think in the year 1992-93, we wanted to expand our workshop with more artisans, but we couldn't recruit any artisans. Then my brother Gopal Krishna, he was just finished his engineering and he had joined us. So he thought he will recruit few girls who are not from the regular jewelry making community, from socio backward community areas, and teach them some steps of jewelry making.
Right.
So if it goes through that steps, the jewelry gets finished. So he tried that steps, and to our surprise, we could produce or we could teach certain jewelry steps, which we can make through these girls.
Right.
So that was the breakthrough. So certain items which are not requiring high level of skill, but requires neat hands and patience, that all those jewelries are made through this way. Yes. So the experiment was done with the 8 members. Then when we found that we could teach them, so we started hiring higher numbers. And today it is my biggest strength in jewelry making. And they are more honest. And they do very fine work, and all that they earn will go straight into their house. It will help. Yes.
And having all the men working for you, they have an advantage to take care of their family also. So that's again another blessing. Moving on to the most interesting topic, that's the temple jewelry. What inspired you to make the temple jewelries?
Okay, temple jewelries. So we found that temple jewelries are definitely made with the highly skilled artisans, no doubt about it. But the artisans who make these temple jewelries are not well educated in terms of the current education system. So they are not good in mathematics. So if a temple committee calls a artisan and asks them to give the estimation, so he gives some estimation based on his raw way of crude way of estimation, and the committee gets prepared for that particular budget. But this fellow's estimation of the surface area or whatever it is very crude. So there they miss, and it will get overshooted, and the committee has to bring in another 25, 30, 40% extra cost of silver or gold. It is very difficult. So the project gets stuck.
Right.
So many people brought me all those points, and then I thought we can play there. So we can estimate accurately the surface area, the thickness. So we can give the estimation, and while executing, we'll check that at particular that thickness sheets are used, all those things. While that, we can almost give almost 95%, virtually 100% accurate estimation, and stick to that while getting it finished. So luckily that clicked, and we got even we could recruit very wonderful artisans who could make temple jewelry, and we can guide them to. So we became facilitator in temple jewelry making.
Yes, right. And what is the temple jewelry making process? Is it different from the customer jewelry making, or are there similarities?
Okay, we'll have to make the difference. Temple jewelry is different. Temple articles are different.
Okay.
Okay. Now, temple jewelries are something which are having more or certain impressions or some deities on the jewelry, which we human wear. Temple articles are like Ratha. I mean, you have Pallaki, Pita Prabhavali, or Manta, or some puja article. These are all temple articles. So temple jewelry is for the regular human beings or customers. Temple articles are for the temples. So we concentrated both on this. So while doing first temple jewelries, we found that temple articles needed. There is an opportunity. There is a vacuum. So we went for both.
Okay.
So we have, and for temple jewelry, we need lots of dies and antique dies, which will give very good old type of jewelry. So we started collecting and making all different dies. So that is one. So we could come out with the more and more design temple jewelries at one side. At the same time, we could apply the technology in temple articles, making temple articles. Yes.
So what was the first temple work that you had taken, the temple article work? Which was the first one that you came across?
There is a temple called Shantiri Kamakshi in Kumta. So there, the committee president is a very good friend of me, a very good customer of us. So they wanted to build, they make a golden lalki mantap, costing about around using about 30 kgs of gold. So they were inquiring how we could make it all. So then we told that we have we do not have the experience, but we have the idea of making the thing. Then they got the consent from the God himself or there. So they told you, why don't you make the thing? And we told we do not have the experience, but if you trust us, we'll try. So that was the first order we got. It was completed in a fantastic way. So it used almost 35 kgs of gold. That is, today's worth will be around 25 crores.
Okay.
Yes.
So back then you'll have started. And which year approximately was that?
I think about 2008.
Amazing. Okay. And which is the most famous temple article that you've made till date?
No, we are very lucky that we are blessed to get opportunity to make jewelry for hundreds of temples.
Right.
Yes, hundreds of temples. Even Udupi Krishna temple we did.
Mm-hmm.
Karkal Venkatramana temple we did.
Mm-hmm.
Two golden doors.
Mm-hmm.
Mangalore temple.
Mm-hmm.
And among them, the first one which we made is the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Mumbai, there is 14 feet richest Ganapati. It is called GSP Seva Mandal's Ganapati.
Mm-hmm.
14 years back, we had an opportunity to make all the golden items
Mm-hmm.
to that temple, using more than 35 kgs of gold.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the biggest. And then we have made a golden Ratha for Katil
Mm-hmm.
Amma.
Yes.
And then a golden Vajastamba for the Katil Amma.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many temples.
Mm-hmm.
Right from Mumbai till Kochi. Yes.
So, how was your experience working for the GSB community, the richest Ganapati festivals that's ever there, right? So, how was that experience for you?
Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, he got it done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was not knowing any of the trustees of that group.
Mm-hmm.
But our Swamiji blessed us. So we somehow it came out very nice. So whatever we proposed in front of the God, they accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And within very short time, we have to make it. We could make that all those items. So that was a wonderful thing.
Right. And you all have even made temple articles for Ayodhya.
Yes.
So, how was the experience for Ayodhya?
That was a surprise. Yeah. So our Peja Sri Swamiji had 48 days of stay in Ayodhya. So at that time, in the north side, they are not using pallaki or the thing which the South Indians are used to do. So Swamiji proposed to make a pallaki or something like that. So our Kashimat Swamiji heard that, and he told we'll contribute that pallaki, silver pallaki, to the temple. At the same time, Peter Prabhavali also. So we got an opportunity to make that pallaki and also Peter Prabhavali within a very short time. And it was wonderful feeling. I've been there at that time, and it was, just beyond experience. Yes.
So, did you have any spiritual experiences when making temple jewelry?
Okay, when it comes to spiritual experience, see, earlier days, I used to be like the modern boy. I never used to believe in all these godly things. And I used to think that everything is in my control. I am doing it. If I try, it should succeed or something like that. After going through 65, 66 years of life experience, now I am very sure nothing was in my control.
Right.
Now you get nothing for some solid efforts we do, or sometimes we get a lot of things without doing any efforts. So someone is controlling our life. So it is not random. It's not just accidental things happening in the world. So see, getting the temple order itself is a
Miracle.
miracle. That's the thing.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's a beautiful miracle in your house. Your
Yes.
wife.
Yes.
Yes.
So while doing that GSB Seva Mandal work, while fixing the gold sheet, their members used to come and stay in our house or in the factory. So my wife was not having some problem with the ears. She has been treated, and she got ear machines for her ears. Then after doing the job, while during the Ganesh festival, I had been there. I was alone. So then I took the prasada from the Ganapati. And while just returning, that one Vijay Bhatma called me back again, so because he was knowing that my wife is not hearing proper. So then again he prayed for with the Almighty and Ganesh and gave me the prasada. I took the prasada and while coming back, I received my wife's call that from today morning I'm hearing very clearly.
Oh.
It was total surprise. She was not knowing that we have prayed for her.
Her health. Yes. Yes.
So that was the shock.
Miracle
I
from
had.
Ganapati.
Until today she is fine.
Mm-hmm.
The hearing machine was wasted totally.
Correct.
Wasted.
Mm.
Now she is hearing.
Mm.
So that was, it is, I don't consider it a big miracle, but it has happened.
Yes. And it's almost 8 years now that she's totally fine with her ears.
More than
Yes.
8 years.
Yes. So that's a God's grace from GSB Ganpati. Yeah. So how do you manage so many showrooms? You all are all a family-oriented business, right? So how does all of that happen in one unity?
Okay, now there are two principles my parents followed. That is, in one shop, one showroom, two brothers should not sit. Within short time, with the junior or the senior should go out with the new business or should go out of the town to start a jewelry shop. And in a house, there should not be two daughter-in-laws. So
Yes.
that was the principle. So we are 6 brothers, and as we get married one by one, so the senior or the junior has to go out of the town. Probably we are the first jeweler to go out of the town to start our business in another town. So in 91 we started a showroom in Bangalore. Till maybe 2005, no jeweler has gone out of his town. Nowadays, all the jewelers, like many jewelers from Kerala or even they are going out of the town and starting the business. That is started happening after 2005. But we went out of the Udupi town to start a business in Bangalore in the year 91. Then in the year 2000 we started in Hubli. Because when my brothers got enough experience, they have to go out.
Outside.
So that's how it started. And controlling is that, see, we have common rules and regulations for each branch, and each family member who is in charge of a particular shop is independent to do whatever, but is bound by the common rules. Same account as a. So he has to look after only the front end. The manufacturing side, we used to do it in Swaradhyam. So there is no, the accounts will be taken care by the corporate office.
Yes.
So it was just, so you have to concentrate only on your job, what you do that. So in total, it used to get the full control. So it is like that.
So family was very well divided with rules and regulations that actually helped smooth moving of Swarna Jewellers operations. Yeah. And what's the difference between the temple jewelry and the customer's jewelry work?
Okay. In temple jewelry, temple articles, see, when I make, it's a big budget order, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And one temple's article cannot be used by another temple.
Correct.
Okay. And there will be lots of myths, beliefs, and faith in every temple. So we have to understand that according to we have to make. So we cannot dictate our terms with the temple articles.
Yes.
So because they have some principles, even Daivasthana or what Daivasthana. So according to their requirement, we are the makers. That's it. We cannot dictate. Whereas in the customers, if anything happens, she may not like because the weight of the jewelry or budget has increased or the size has some errors. So where we don't have to melt it, we can put it in our stock and remake for according to their requirement. It is possible as far as the customer jewelry is concerned. Whereas temple articles, we have to be extra careful. We cannot, just go ahead. We are very careful. If it gets rejected, it is not possible. It will be total loss. So, but it never happened.
God's grace, I guess. Yes. So, What's the biggest miracle that a masterpiece or something that you have created that you have loved till date?
All the temple articles are wonderful because we believe in Almighty and claiming that that thing is made by us, this thing is made by us, and that is wonderful feeling. And as far as the customer side, it is a business. Yes. So they are, if you do according to their requirement and their budget, and more than that, you need jewelry. If anyone pays 100 rupees, the cost of metal, gold metal itself is almost 85 rupees to 94 rupees.
Yes.
So what you are worried about is only the remaining making. The rest is common factor. So therefore, the servicing part, let it be servicing or whatever it is. So that part is not so much worried. The worst scenario, the labor has to be remade or to be paid back. The metal cost will be
Same.
Yes.
Yeah. And all the temple jewelry has a gold lamination done for it. Why is that?
Not all the gold lamination. See, a jeweler will always, right from the beginning, always is facing one challenge is to make the jewelry in lesser and lesser and lesser weight because the gold price is going up and up. So everybody asks to make the jewelry in the lesser and lesser weight. So in the temple articles also, you have to make certain gold articles, which earlier used to make some gauge particularly, they could afford. Because of the gold price has gone up, so we have to make the thinner and thinner sheet. There's a limit for that. Below that we cannot emboss. Nakasu work cannot be made in the thinner sheet. So now we thought I copied the gilding work, the Japanese gilding work, cold gilding and hot gilding is there. So I tried with the one experiment and I found that we could do that.
Okay.
So we started doing that. So instead of 10 rupees on solid sheet gold kind of thing, you can do it with the 1 rupee, 2 rupees. The same. It's not electroplating. It is foil, making the foil on the silver articles.
Okay.
So it looks like a solid. I mean, it is, and all the gold can be recovered back also. So that was the gold lamination. Became very popular now. Yes.
Yes. What does online presence play in your business?
See, because we are the first one to start computers, even online sales, also we are following it up.
Right.
Yeah, but among all the product, online buying by the customers, jewelry becomes the last in the list.
Yes.
You got it? Because jewelry is the one thing which you want to feel it. Online, you can't buy bigger jewelers. But because of the economical affluences happening in India, people can afford to try for certain limited budget thing to go for a online budgets, jewelries. So the budget should be around 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, maximum 1 lakh. A jewelry beyond 1 lakh, people will not buy online.
Correct.
So online business, we are in the field, but it is not contributing to the a substantial
Growth of the business.
contribute in our sales. Okay, so there's still some time to go for that, I think.
So how do you manage the pricing strategy? How do you decide on that?
Okay, there's a basic principle given by my father is that, see, if a child is given a peppermint, it can chew for few hours. If it continues to chew, it can enjoy the thing. But another child, it can bite and finish it off within no time, few seconds. So, in a Kannada word, cheap tinnodu, kachi tinnodu. That's word probably.
Yeah.
So, customer is like a peppermint. Without profit, nobody is doing business. So you have to keep some control on the profit margin. So always used to, then only we can enjoy for a longer time. If you bite them, if you cheat them, customer will never come back to us. More than that, the customers are all grown-up women. And who is going to pay the jewelry bill? It's the mid-age husband and wife for their children. See, for a girl's marriage, the jewelries are bought by her parents. Okay, so the major bulk of their life purchasing, they do it during that time. For their marriage, their parents have spent. So the women who are coming to our shop, they have seen the world, and they know, they can make out who is fair and who is not fair. So we don't have to be extra smart in convincing. In a normal way, if you convince, it is better. So whereas the kids or the girl who is getting married is the influencer or deciding factor in selecting the design. But the spending is done by her parents. So that is the strategy. You have to be careful and fair, frank, straightforward in our dealings.
How do you manage the customer retentionship and the customer relationship?
See, nowadays we have communication. We keep sending the price of today's price or the new designs, whatever we make. Technology is there. So another thing is that the customer's loyalty, like the earlier days, it is not now there. As the city grows up, the loyalty of the customer is not as rigid as the earlier days. Earlier days, maybe 40, 50 years, if I see my very close customer in another shop, that person used to get little shy because he cannot face me. Nowadays, there is no problem because he can come and tell me, no, I didn't find the proper design in your shop, so I came here. So, no feeling of some kind of thing. So that is the thing. So we'll have to be in touch with the customers. But price sensitivity, cost sensitivity is very important. And today, the economical influences can make people go for jewelry as a article for status symbol, and they don't bother about the cost. That percentage is increasing. Earlier, gold is considered as an investment instrument. Apat dhana. So it was considered. Now it is not like that so much. But of course, the price sensitivity things happen very, however rich you are, when they think about the costing also.
What's your opinion on lab-grown diamonds?
See, lab-grown diamonds, today it is called CVD diamond, carbon vapor depositing, or HPHT, high pressure, high temperature. See, it's like it's original diamond, real diamond only, but lab-grown diamond. It's called lab-grown diamond. It's like you have heard test tube baby. So where the mixing is done by the outside the thing, and they place it inside the mother. So it grows. Here also they make very thin slice of diamond and provide them the natural environment to grow. Okay, so like that, it is the accelerated growth of diamond in a very systematic environment. So India can claim that they are expert in this CVD diamond. So as the time is going on, we are able to produce bigger and bigger diamond, CVD diamonds. And also HPHT is a high pressure, high temperature. It was that effort started hundreds of years back. CVD diamond started recently, but HPHT 11, but they could produce a smaller size diamond. But with the CVD diamond, they could produce bigger diamond. So now more than that, the international certifying agencies like American lab or international lab. So they give a certification that it is a real diamond, but lab grown. So which has facilitated to do that, to promote that. Now price is little higher side. Today we have settled at around reasonable affordable, because the cost of the diamond depends on the cutting and faceting. So cutting and faceting, still now it is very difficult, because the diamond is the hardest metal. So it's like using a wooden hacksaw. Think about it. Wooden hacksaw, you have to cut the wood and make the plank and make the furniture. How much time it takes?
Yes.
Wooden hacksaw.
Yes.
And you cut.
Correct.
So that is similarly diamond can be cut only using the diamond, can be polished or faceted using the diamond. It takes time. Well, a lot of time, because the same hardness. So India is expertised in making the faceting and cutting in diamonds. So, and this CVD rough also made in India. So recently Modi gave bigger diamonds to our US president as a complimentary presents. So all that. Today Gujarat, and especially Gujarat, is very famous for CVD diamond.
So what's the major difference between both the diamonds? One is a natural stone, another one?
Yeah, naturally made. And so I can say that the CVD diamonds are more purer and more stronger than the lab, because natural diamonds are found millions years of back.
Yes.
So slowly deteriorates. I mean, on a larger time scale. It is a fresh diamond, so more purer, and the CVD diamond. So technically, if you talk, it's 100% similar, same as the thing. But yeah, it's a lab grown accelerator. So that is why. And similarly, we have, but they are not using the word called synthetic or man-made diamond. It's called lab grown real diamond. So we have rubies now, or blue sapphire, yellow sapphire, or synthetic. Synthetic means man-made. Chemically, there is absolutely no difference between this man-made rubies and the natural rubies. No difference, absolutely no difference. But natural, if chemical, I mean man-made synthetic ruby is 1 rupees, the natural rubies are 100 or 1000 rupees.
Correct.
Okay, whereas the CVD diamond is not like that. The ratio is almost now 1:5, 1:, even it may go to 1:10. That's it, not more than that. So I think now today CVD diamond can be affordable by everyone. Yes. Bigger diamonds.
And how do they check the quality of those diamonds, the lab-grown diamonds as well as the natural ones?
Both are certified on a similar ground. So depending on the clarity, color, cut, so they give the certification.
Okay. And what is a hallmark?
Okay. Hallmark, see, till say year 2000, the sold, see, when you make a jewelry, you'll have to join the joints. You make a chain. You make the links. So you make the links and you have to join the links. See, you make the 22 karat purity links and try to use the 22 karat same piece to
Join.
Either the whole rings and the solder will melt. Otherwise, this solder will not melt. The people found that the lower the purity, the gold will melt at a lower temperature. So if you have 22 karat ring, if I use 18 karat metal, so 18 karat metal will melt much earlier to 22 karat. So the 18 karat solder will melt and join it. So that was the process people used for hundreds of years. So wow. So you have a now chain, which is 24 grams, which has 20 grams of 22 karat rings mainly, and 4 grams of 18 karat soldering. Now, what you call this whole chain is now. So it's like 22 carat chain. Because now you have cashew burfi. Cashew burfi will have hardly 10% or 20% or maybe 40% cashew.
Yes.
The rest is sugar and other materials. So still you call it cashew burfi. Similar here, the major portion of the jewelry are made 22 carat. You cannot use other metal as a solder. You cannot use lead as a solder or a zinc as a solder. No. Because the metal color will be visible. So lower purity solder. So if you want to make another solder on that, then you use still lower 16 carat solder, 14 carat solder. Now that is a loophole in our system. People started using more and more quantity of solder, lesser and lesser purity of gold purity, so making the jewelry to compete with the market. Now there is an introduction of called modern soldering, wherein the solder purity is 22 carat only. But that solder is made with using the other metals apart from the copper and silver. They are made using the zinc or something metal. So that solder 22 carat made using the zinc as a alloy metal. So that melts much earlier to the 22 carat made using the copper. So that is called modern soldering. So when the government realized that you can produce 22 carat, now here, if I hear for the same chain, you have 22 carat links made using the copper as alloy, for which 4 grams of solder using the zinc as the alloy. So what happens? When you melt it, it will be 22 carat only.
Yes.
Right? So this is called modern soldering, and when this concept was floated, the governments decided that it should be certified. If you call a 22 carat jewelry, it has to be 22 carat gold after melting also, not before. Understand? So they introduced something called hallmark, but they never initially they didn't. It was not mandatory; it was voluntary. So we are the one of the first jeweler to go for the hallmarking system, and we did a survey to our customer because we are computer-based database. So we did a survey, and at that time, 2001, we did the survey. 2001, at the end of the maybe November, December, we did the survey, and then we asked, do you know anything about hallmarking? And 50% people are not knowing about that hallmarking. But those who have known the rest, they 98% of the remain that those who know about hallmarking. They said 98% that they want hallmark jewelry.
Okay.
So we went for the hallmarking, registered ourselves as this thing. We started again.
And how do you check its authenticity? Because these days in the market, there are n number of certificates available. So how do you check the authenticity of it?
It was a big challenge. It is the government has to take care of now. Even currency gets duplicated.
Yeah.
So but now there is something called HUID, hallmark, unique identification number. Okay, so government puts, I think, 8-digit a number by the laser mark. And it takes the photograph of the jewelry and keeps the track.
Okay.
So Hallmark Center now, even though we have to use that number in the bill, but because of the pressure from the jeweler, it has not been made to do that. But the Hallmarking Center, they have to take the photograph.
Okay.
So when you can check with the government maybe later whether your jewelry has been hallmarked authentically or not. So
Okay.
that system is there because of the technology, and you can do that. Yes, they are doing it.
Okay. What's the difference between 18 carat, 22 carat and 24 carat gold?
Okay. The carat is like percentage. See, what is percentage? When I say 50%, what does it mean? 50 out of 100 is this material. If I say milk, 50% means in this 1 liter, 50% out of 100 units, it is milk. So percentage is always out of 100.
Okay.
It is not said, but it is taken for granted. Similarly, the carat is 24. 22 carat means 22 parts out of 24 parts. So pure, 24 carat, 24 out of 24, which means 100%. When you multiply 100. So when you have 22 out of 24 into 100, it becomes 91.6.
Okay.
So why that system? Because we have been ruled by the Britishers for 200 plus years.
Yes.
We have followed that. See, they have 1 foot 12 inches, 3 foot 1 yard. So no relationship. But now in the modern we are using decimals. 1 is to 10, 10 is to 10, 100, like that. Here it is. Their system is different. Now pound is also unit of weight. Pound is also unit of currency in there. So they are Britishers are mad people. So that madness is transferred to us. We are still continuing to do carat. But currently we are using percentage. 916 means 91.6. 75 means 18 carat. 18 out of 24 means 75. So 750. The hallmark uses the decimal system.
Okay. How do you handle the production and the quality in your unit?
Okay, as you said, in our factory, the things get at every stage. It comes back to the management. So we have the opportunity to check the weight control or the qual and is in control. And at the end, even after finishing, we'll have to give it the jewelry to the hallmarking center. They scrap it and do it. So that's the ultimate testing. So nowadays, absolutely almost 100% no rejection. Our product goes through the hallmarking centers.
What is the most memorable or the worst feedback that you've ever got from a client?
Well, feedback in the sense,
Any customer coming back to you and saying we loved this, or he bought you more people from that? Any references? So you started with one.
that keeps on going. You get once in a while, because if the budget goes up, some finishing is not done properly, we are
Bound to listen.
receive. Yes. At the same time, most of the customers, if I do well do this, then they honestly appreciate. So it's a continuous.
Is there any after sales role in your business? What role do you all have after the sales of the gold?
No, we give after sales service for our jewelry. The
Yes.
thing is that, see, jewelry is very delicate. So it cannot sustain the physical accidental impact on it. It is not made with steel or something like that. So it is very soft. And the challenge is that to make the thing in lesser and lesser weight, as I said. So after sales service, most of the time it happens due to the accidental impact on the jewelry by the customer. We repair it wherever it is possible. Otherwise, we'll have to remake it. Whether it made by us or made by other jeweler also, we give the service. Yes.
Any key lessons that you've learned as a jeweler?
In jewelry, it looks very
Glamorous. And a bling world. Yes.
But I don't think it is. There is money in the jewelry business, because you take, for example, the coastal Karnataka. How many jewelers are there who are worth more than 100 crores? Maybe few, one with a handful. But if you count a number of persons who are worth more than 100 crores, there are maybe thousands who are from IT industries, construction industries, or there are more. And they have done it with a much shorter time. But in a jewelry, even after 2 generations, 3 generations, the net worth is very limited. So the lesson is that, okay, it's a very safe bet, I can tell you, if you run the business without borrowing the money, because your jewelry will not get dried up or get spoiled over a time. It will have its intricate the investment value, it will be there. So it is a safe bet, but I don't think Jewelry is the only way to make the, and people have that idea that
Yes.
there are a lot of profit. It's not factual.
And how do you stay motivated to work after so many years?
Customers themselves drive that. New challenges, they come up with the new challenges. And new tools, new technological tools which helps us to make. For example, earlier used to use flying press to make the coins. Now and then we come up with the hydraulic press, which is it does in a flying press you need a filewand to move that. Now today we have just a lever to press 100 tons pressure. So similarly, casting machine. Earlier you take the lump of gold and hammer and shape it. Today you make the thing virtually finished in the wax and then cast it, you get it in the thing.
Yes.
And today CAD CAM is using, you make the 3D image, get a wax impression, use the same wax impression in making the jewelry. Virtually, you can finish the stone setting in the wax and then cast it. So that all that technological updation drives you. Okay. So now you have after lamination we have composite sheet. So we have heard of ACP sheet, aluminum composite sheet. Here also we have composite sheet, wherein you have silver and very thin layer of gold sheet, and making the temple articles.
Yes.
All that, the changes, the innovative thing will drive it. So we apply the thing. So now inlay work is started. That brass inlay work you have seen from the UB side. So instead of brass, you can use brass supported silver, put it on, or gold. You can use inlay work in the articles. The lesser budget and nice
Looking, luxury looking. Okay. So could you tell us, if you had a dream project, what would you work for in your dream project?
See, I personally at this age probably, see, I want to get order from the famous temples like Dwarka, or Puri Jagannath temple, or even Tirumala temple. That is most satisfying. I mean, that is the thing.
What's the most expensive piece of jewelry that you sold?
Temple articles or jewelry?
If it could be both, if you could
Right,
share
temple
it.
articles we have made up. As I told, 35 kg means 25 crores. Now recently, few days, 2 days back, got the order for 20 kg at Kapu, Mariamma's Gaddugi. So that is maybe what today, almost 10 crores. Sorry, 20 means 16, 20 crores.
Okay.
So likewise, when it comes to temple,
The
jewelry side,
customers.
so solitary set on that will cost in crores. 1 crore to 3 crores. Weird bills.
Nice. Where do you get your inspiration from? All the designs that you've been creating, where are they from? Is it by traveling or some other means for you?
Main initiator or the customers. My customers, they see something, they trigger the idea in us. They say that you have seen this, they are in this, we are. So that is the one first point. Then we travel. Whenever we go to a center, we just look for which work that place is famous for. So then we go there and check and do the studies. Because of the communication technology and moment, there is no difference between the jewelry of this place and Delhi, and everything is becoming common now. The earlier days it was distinctly different things are there. There are still some unique items. So when we go there, then we see the things, pick up certain things and use it in our asking the artisan to accommodate that particular aspect of the thing. So likewise, it's a continuous
learning process. Yes. If you had to give some tips to a new entrepreneur who's into this career of the jewelry designing field, what would that be?
See, there is, as I said, there is no money in this.
Yes.
Huge money.
Yes.
Yes. And if you have, and you can't run the business using the borrowed funds because, as I said, out of 100 rupees, 85 rupees is the metal cost. There is no margin in the metal. So out of 15%, you may retain 3 to 4% profit. And if you have say 10 kgs of stock, in a year you can do a business of 25, 30 kgs of turnover. 1:2 turnover ratio. So 3% or 4%, if you take it, it will become 12% gain on your capital of 10 kgs. But if you take the borrowed funds, you have to pay the service the borrowed funds, which will be around 10 to 12%. That means if you want to retain, gain extra benefit, you have to have more than 3 the turnover ratio. It is not possible at this time. Any jewelry shop having now modern days, all these corporates are getting free money, virtually free money. And see, recently one jeweler issued IPO recently at 480 rupees per share. Okay, suppose I subscribe for that share, so I get a share for 480 rupees. Now that jeweler has no pressure of repayment, no interest, and he gets huge money.
Can I?
Okay, it's no pressure, absolutely no pressure. Now he puts huge stock in his shop using that money. His turnover ratio will be, I'm sure, definitely less than 2. He doesn't bother. At the end of the day, he declares 100% dividend. How much dividend it will work out? 10 rupees. For 10 rupees face value, you get 10 rupees. But this, I have invested 480 rupees. So my return is 2%. Okay. So, but that jeweler will have 1,000 crore rupees free money. But whereas if I have to get borrowed fund from the bank, then I have to pledge everything to them. So these corporates are getting huge money from the
Public.
So which is, I think, a little dangerous and secure. So I think it is. So we can group the jewelers into 3 groups: the corporate, and semi-corporate, and small players. So the small players will have personal contacts and they can sustain. The middle one will have large effect.
What are the 5 advices that you've implemented in your life as well as business? Something that you always stand by.
All whatever I told, which I have inherited from my parents, the keep chewing, that is will last for a longer time than the biting.
Yes. Yes.
And then the customer relationship is priority. That's very important. Say, we cannot neglect a small customer for the sake of big customer. No, the big customer, we cannot tell at what stage see, when you buy jewelry, when you have some savings, it's not an essential commodity. So if a person grows in his field, so after fulfilling all his requirement, the remaining definitely will come to the jewelry line.
Yes.
So naturally, if a customer comes, he should be
Treated well.
no, he is treated well, and he is in a well position because it's not an essential commodity.
What is the biggest challenges that the jewelry designing industry is facing today?
The jewelry, as I said, see, the margins are shrinking because of the competition. The turnover ratio, stock, if I have got some stock, the turnover ratio of the jewelry stock, which supposed to be, which was there for 4 or 5, today it is shrinking to 3, 2. It's very difficult. Then the regular small jewelers cannot put the stocks with using the borrowed fund. No, it's difficult to service that borrowed funds. That is another challenge. And the government thinks that all jewelers are culprits. It's very dangerous. Actually, gold is the culprit, not the jeweler. So that is the point. And then the challenges in retaining artisans or in the front end is also there. And advertisementing has become so expensive. So you can't use the regular paper, say smaller players. Corporate is different because they have 10 branches. One full page ad, if it costs around 3.5 lakhs rupees, it gets divided by 10. So for them, 35,000. For me, it is 3.5 lakhs. So it becomes very expensive. I can't afford more frequent advertisement in the paper. The impact will be less, but you have to give advertisement for seeing the people that we are present in the market. So it is like that. So everything is challenging, and technological development makes so at one place they could produce a particular jewelry. It was very costly in making. They could produce at a very less price. Okay, now the thing is that, see, you buy a thing for 100 rupees and I keep my margin as 3 rupees or 4 rupees and sell it for 100, 3 or 5. And I feel comfortable that I am reasonable with 3%. But it becomes my responsibility to see that the 100 rupee product which I get it is worth 100 rupees or not. It's my responsibility. If I get cheated by the supplier, it's very dangerous. It hurts me only, not these are all the
major challenges that you all are facing. Yes. And if you need any government support, which is made maybe in the policy making or the GST, what would be at least 1 or 2 points that you would like to change from your end?
Okay, now import duty. The government thought that they will gain more. Okay, so they increased it to 15%. So what it happened? It helped for bringing the gold by through smuggling. And all that benefit to that smuggling rate different, 15% difference. It's a huge. It will go to the wrong hands, the terrorist or something. Different stages. So recently they reduced it to 6%. It was a good thing that they reduced it to 6%. I'm not sure when they're going to increase the duty. So it's a they have to be very careful. They think that all jewelers support cash transaction and all those things. No, as I said, it is not the fact. So it is the metal which makes not things. We have to take care of that. Otherwise, it applies to all the things. GST, even if they make it 3 or 6, the enforcement is a must. So
I hope you all had an interesting insights about the bling world. Until next time, take care and bye-bye.
thank you.